taking a stand against abuse on International Women's Day, the San Diego March giving working women the courage to speak out. Stress and questions, the reality for patients and their loved ones, the everyday technology offering peace of mind in the waiting room.
The world is still awash in oil.
Watching the prices climb at the pump, the factors behind a clean fuel option that may help San Diego drivers. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma. The San Diego School Board is trying to bounce back from the scandal surrounding former trustee Marnie Foster. New reforms were announced today to help safeguard against unethical behavior. They include mandating ethics training for trustees within 60 days of their election and requiring the superintendent to report any attempts by a board member to meddle in the operation of the school district.
It is now time to move forward with a clear policy for board members that is open and transparent to the public.
The reforms come 1 month after former school board member Marnie Foster quit. Foster was accused of interfering in decisions at the School of Creative and Performing Arts while her sons were enrolled there. She also pleaded guilty to taking a gift of $460 from one source in 2014. The violation is a misdemeanor. Two San Diego City Council members signed on today to a campaign to, quote, fix the Compass card. That's the plastic fare card operated by the Metropolitan Transit System. The campaign is organized by the transit advocacy organization Circulate San Diego. It's an attempt to pressure MTS to make the Compass card system more user-friendly and to fix its substandard data security. Both are issues first reported here on KPBS. Council members David Alvarez and Lori Zapp say MTS has to move faster in fixing those problems.
We need to focus on things that we can do that are really easy fixes so that we can encourage new people to ride public transit. I mean, how are we going to meet our climate action goals? This is really critical.
MTS says it will continue working on the problems brought up in the campaign. Demanding support for President Obama's executive order on immigration reform. The state of California joined a brief today with 15 other states calling on the Supreme Court to uphold the order that would have ordered temporary permits to people living and working in the U.S. illegally. The executive order would have protected up to 5 million people living and working in the U.S. illegally. 26 states sued, claiming the president overstepped his authority. The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments on April 18th. In honor of International Women's Day, hundreds of people marched in downtown San Diego today. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero says they rallied in part to raise awareness about sexual assaults against female janitors and security guards.
Hundreds of women who work as janitors and security guards, as well as their supporters, gathered at the Symphony Tower at noon. Many were immigrants. They chanted and held up signs protesting sexual assault and other conditions in the workplace. One of them was Maria Amaya, a janitor who came to San Diego from Mexico about 16 years ago. She says she was harassed on the job.
I
had a supervisor who was a very despotic person. He talked dirty and he wanted to touch everyone.
She says she confronted him. When he threatened to get her fired, she and other women talked to Human Resources and got him fired.
We hope to help people know their rights rather than thinking that because they're immigrants they don't have rights. Here in the U.S., you have many rights.
Amaya's experience of being harassed is not uncommon among women with these jobs, according to a report released by UC Berkeley today. But most of these women are reluctant to speak out, says organizer Beatriz Garcia.
A lot of them are afraid to report because they either don't speak English, are here on irregular status, or they're the sole breadwinner for their families. A lot of them are single mothers.
Garcia says the march downtown was meant to give women courage to speak out and raise awareness about the issues these women face, including low wages. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
A San Diego law school is on trial this week for allegedly lying about how successful students were in finding jobs after graduation. A former Thomas Jefferson School of Law student has sued the school, alleging it inflated employment data. The ex-student says she has yet to find a full-time job as an attorney 8 years after graduating. They're lucky to be alive. 9 people recovering today after a speeding commuter train plunged into a swollen creek in the San Francisco Bay Area. A downed tree on the tracks caused the train to derail last night in Alameda County. It was traveling from San Jose to Stockton. Rescue crews fought fast-moving currents to pull riders out of a submerged rail car. Deputies say it was a miracle no one was killed because of dark, rainy, and chaotic conditions. The San Diego Port Commissioners okayed an environmental review for a project that could have a major impact on any future expansion of the convention center. The board heard a proposal today for building 2 hotels near the center on land owned by Fifth Avenue Landing. A contiguous expansion of the facility could require some of Fifth Landing's property. The California HighSpeed rail project has survived another legal challenge that threatened its future. A lawsuit argued that the $64 billion rail system cannot meet requirements in the bond measures voters approved in 2008, such as a 2-hour, 40-minute train ride between San Francisco and Los Angeles. But a Sacramento County judge has ruled the project does not violate the Bond Act, at least not yet. That's because the state has not spent any bond funds. Construction is already underway in the Central Valley. Gas prices have been inching up over the past couple of weeks as we enter the most costly driving season of the year. But KPBS reporter Susan Murphy tells us that if you have a flex fuel vehicle, you can fill up for under $2 a gallon.
A couple times a week, Brittany Garcia fills up her SUV at Pearson Fuel in City Heights.
Oh, it saves me I say like 100 a week.
The mother of 4 from National City is not buying regular gasoline. She's in the market for E85. The fuel is 85% ethanol and 15% gas. On this day, the corn-based fuel is selling for $1.89, 50 cents cheaper than regular unleaded. Garcia only recently discovered she had a flex fuel vehicle capable of using the biofuel.
But it's hard because a lot of gas stations don't have it.
A dozen gas stations in San Diego County offer E85. Most pumps came online within the past few years, including 4 in 2015. The gas averages 50 cents to $1 cheaper than regular unleaded, partly because it delivers fewer miles per gallon, depending on the vehicle.
Ethanol is also higher octane than even premium gasoline.
Alternative fuel specialist Kevin Wood with the Center for Sustainable Energy in San Diego says the low price of E85 more than makes up for the slightly reduced fuel economy. And he says it burns cleaner, reducing tailpipe emissions.
It doesn't pollute the groundwater. It doesn't have some of the other issues associated with oil extraction. Also, all the money that's spent on ethanol is money that's staying in the American economy instead of potentially going overseas.
Wood says the county has 50,000 to 100,000 flex fuel vehicles, but many drivers are unaware of the cheaper alternative fuel option.
It's primarily American-made pickup trucks, SUVs, and vans, but many American-made sedans.
For those with vehicles that use regular gas, prices have been ticking upward with the switch to summer blend, but prices are nearly $1 below where they were at this time last year and $2 cheaper than in 2011.
The world is still awash in oil.
Finance professor emeritus Tony Sharon from San Diego State University is projecting the summer outlook will be stable.
My hope is that within the next, month, several months, we're not going to see gasoline above $3, and it probably is not going to go below $2.
Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Taking a closer look at automatic voter registration on the West Coast, Oregon saw more than 4,300 people sign up to vote in the first 6 days of this year. This is under a new initiative that automatically signs up people when they apply for driver's licenses. The move may help grow the number of registered voters by 13% by the November election. California has given the green light on a similar law. State officials are investigating the environmental disaster at Porter Ranch. The massive gas leak is being called the worst U.S. disaster since the Gulf oil spill. State lawmakers hosted another hearing today on the California Public Utilities Commission. They examined the agency's role in the incident. Legislators say the CPUC had a too little, too late approach to capping the leak.
So today's hearing, we expect to make sure that the CPUC is spending taxpayer dollars in a way that follows their mandate, which is to protect Californians and to make sure that these disasters don't happen again.
The CPUC is also responsible for a debacle that involved the shutting down of a nuclear power plant in San Onofre. The commission charged utility users the $3.3 billion in shutdown costs. Authorities are revealing new details involving the killing of one of the armed occupiers of an Oregon wildlife refuge. Investigators determined the police were justified in the shooting of the Arizona rancher Robert Lavoy Finicum. He was shot after reaching for a weapon inside his jacket as the police attempted to arrest him. His death has become a symbol for those decreeing federal oversight on public lands. An accused leader of Mexico's Sinaloa drug cartel was arraigned in federal court in San Diego Monday. Victor Emilio Casares Castillo is charged with conspiracy and money laundering. He was extradited to San Diego late last week, nearly 4 years after his arrest by Mexican authorities. The 52-year-old defendant was indicted by a federal grand jury in 2007. His organization is believed to have smuggled tons of cocaine into the U.S. His next court appearance is scheduled for early next month. Scientists are trying to find out what happened to a whale that washed up at Silver Strand State Beach today. Lifeguards had to wait until high tide rolled away to get to the mammal. The dead whale was spotted floating near Coronado yesterday. Some park workers told the media it looks like it was a juvenile humpback whale. Beachgoers are asked to stay away from the site as authorities try to move it off the beach. Virtual waiting rooms. Associated Press reporter Carrie Antelfinger says hospitals are experimenting with new ways of keeping families updated when their loved ones are undergoing surgery.
Surgery can be stressful for patients and their families. To help take away some of the anxiety, hospitals are starting a new texting service before, during, and after surgeries.
How often have you gotten text messages from your hairdresser, from your dentist, as a reminder? We thought we could take it to the next level. You know, could we make this informative for our families? Could we give this some good purpose to help support them?
Children's Hospital of Wisconsin uses the service for tonsillectomies and some spinal surgeries, and will soon expand it to include more procedures. Often the text link to informative videos, reminders about not eating before surgery or post-operative care at home.
When the nurse came to meet me, she asked me for my name and birthday.
It really kind of gave us an understanding of what the process is like, and really helpful, smoothing. You know, after all, it's our baby.
Safa Rosby was in the hospital to have her tonsils removed after years of recurring strep throat. The videos reassured her, particularly knowing the nurses and doctors would be nice.
It made me feel a lot better about it.
And during some procedures, family members in the waiting room or at home can get real-time updates.
I just got a text. We're finishing the surgery. The doctor will be out shortly to the family waiting area to talk with you. The reminders helped so much, just, you know, seeing that text telling me that she, the surgery was almost finished.
A small pilot study done by the hospital shows no one involved in the early text effort canceled appointments or needed urgent care afterward.
It's been helpful in preventing families from feeling like they have to call in. It's provided confidence in parents on how they're caring for their child at home.
After Safa's surgery, she wasn't feeling so great, but her parents felt they were in good hands the whole time. Carrie Antelfinger, Associated Press.
The World Health Organization says the sexual transmission of the Zika virus is more common than previously thought. The UN Health Agency's Emergency Committee met today and cited reports from several countries. The agency also says there is increasing evidence that the disease is causing a spike in birth defects and neurological problems. WHO recommends pregnant women avoid travel to areas with ongoing Zika outbreaks. Raising a child with a developmental disorder is hard. It's even harder when that disorder is so rare, most doctors have never heard of it. In this story, we'll hear from 2 San Diego families and the local scientist helping them track down a diagnosis. KPBS science reporter David Wagner picks it up from here.
Do you want red or yellow?
Red.
Red?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Diana Papworth is playing a game of backyard bocce ball with her 2 kids, Sean and Lauren.
Who won? Sean won.
Well, they're not really kids.
Oh, yeah, good one.
Okay, Lauren.
Your turn.
They may seem like playful 6-year-olds, but Sean and Lauren are both in their 30s.
She's one lucky winner.
And for years, this Santee mother couldn't get any doctor to tell her why they were missing their milestones.
It was scary. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if things were going to get worse.
When they were younger, Sean and Lauren also had seizures. Diana eventually accepted that she might never get a diagnosis.
And finally, after a certain amount of years, you have to go on with life, and you have to do the best you can with what you have. So we just kind of gave up.
But then, after decades of dead ends, she was referred to a neurologist at Rady Children's Hospital. This doctor had a hunch about what was going on. She sent Sean and Lauren in for a skin biopsy.
But I remember going in there thinking, they're not going to find anything. We've been dealing with this for 33 years, and no one can tell us, and it's never even been close. And I honestly felt like they weren't going to find it.
But they did. That doctor had reached out to Hudson Freeze, a scientist at the Sanford Burnham Prebys Medical Discovery Institute in La Jolla. Freeze does research on a rare disease known as CDG.
That is short for congenital disorders of glycosylation.
Glycosylation is a process involving sugar chains vital to normal cellular function throughout the body. There are many genes involved, and when 2 parents happen to carry a mutation on the exact same gene, they end up with a 1 in 4 chance of having a kid with CDG.
And when that happens, you get a myriad of different kind of genetic abnormalities and physiological dysfunctions.
Ready? Go. Tree.
Rabbit.
Rabbit.
CDG is a spectrum. Different subtypes can lead to different symptoms. Some patients, like Sean and Lauren, live into adulthood with minimal physical problems. Others have more severe impairments and much shorter lifespans. Freeze and his colleagues help families narrow in on a CDG diagnosis by looking at skin cells. When they put Sean and Lauren's cells under the microscope, they saw the hallmarks of CDG.
We got on the phone to Mom, minutes, literally minutes after we had made the discovery.
Bird. Good job.
You're so cool.
Who's fast? Ooh, bunny.
CDG is already rare, with only a few thousand cases identified worldwide. Sean and Lauren have a particularly rare subtype.
They have mutations in a gene called ALG3. And they are the 15th, 16th patients that we know of in the world.
Diana Papworth knows there's no cure for a disease this uncommon, but she feels less isolated now, knowing that other families are going through the same thing.
I'm not really sure where we go from here, but I'm excited.
Because it's so rare, research on CDG has been limited and funding has been scarce. That means not every family gets a clear answer right away.
Whoop, whoop.
Donnie Omler's 7-year-old son, Damien, can laugh, but he can't talk.
Ready?
He uses a wheelchair and has other symptoms pointing to CDG. His Linda Vista parents are now used to fielding the question, "What's wrong with your son?"
In the beginning, it really annoyed us because we really didn't know how to answer it because we didn't know the answers.
Doctors have also been stumped, but Donnie has been determined to track down a diagnosis. He actually hand-delivered Damien's skin cells to Hudson Freeze's lab for analysis. They've been able to identify a gene, but this particular gene has never been linked with CDG before.
They weren't able to find another case like Damien's.
If Damien does in fact have CDG, he would be the only confirmed case with this subtype in the world, the first patient known to science.
So they don't have a prognosis on how long the life expectancy is. They don't know if it's going to get worse. They don't know if it's going to get any better. So there's a lot that they don't know, and we understand that.
Freeze says this isn't just research to him. His sister has an undiagnosed disorder, so he understands what these families are going through. For the past 6 years, he's organized an annual symposium in San Diego where families coping with CDG can meet each other and talk with knowledgeable doctors. He says one of the hardest parts is seeing patients die over the years.
Yeah, it's really personal. We celebrate when we can give good news, and feel for it when the patients die.
Half of Freese's funding comes from families donating to help his lab continue working on CDG. He hopes his research can lead to answers for families who've had nothing but questions for so many years. David Wagner, KPBS News.
Video journalist Katie Shulev helped produce that report. A new bill could make it easier for uninsured women to access cancer treatment. Breast cancer survivors and lawmakers are pushing a measure that would provide screenings for symptomatic women under 40. Currently, only women over 40 are provided with free screenings. The bill would also eliminate the 18-month treatment coverage limit. The Assembly Health Committee will take up the measure next week. An e-commerce giant is San Diego bound. Most shoppers are used to finding Amazon online. This summer, the company will open its second brick-and-mortar store at Westville UTC Mall. It opened its first physical bookstore in Seattle last November. The store will most likely offer a limited selection of books and its hardware lineup, which includes Kindle and Fire tablets. High tide and big waves prompted lifeguards to close a number of spots today, from the children's pool in La Jolla to the Ocean Beach Pier. There were also a few flooded walkways along the coast. San Diego lifeguard officials reported coastal flooding at the beaches with a 12-foot swell and a more than 6-foot high tide just before 8:30 a.m. No trace of El Nino today in San Diego, and it seems the sun is here to stay for the next couple of days. Steph Davis says we may see more rain later in the week in tonight's KPBS weather report.
Well, it's been a beautiful day so far across the San Diego area. Plenty of bright sunshine, drying things out after we dealt with some wet weather over the last couple of days, and that quiet weather pattern will be the case as we march throughout tonight. Now, you'll notice off to our north, northern, and central California still dealing with some wet weather. So if you're traveling north along the Golden State, do anticipate weather-related travel delays. Though if you're sticking around home, we're looking at mainly clear skies, satellite and radar showing largely dry conditions, and again, plenty of bright sunshine. So Tuesday night looks good. If you have any kind of plans, weather definitely cooperating. Clear in 46 in Borrego Springs, a little bit chilly in Mount Laguna as we fall back to 30 degrees, 30s as well in Ramona. Clear and quiet tonight in Oceanside, and your overnight low in San Diego is 52 degrees. So we're looking at improving weather as we head over the next several days. Wednesday looks good as well, dry and seasonable with much of that wet weather still constricted to the northern parts of the state. So Southern California pressing towards the Four Corners will enjoy a dry and seasonable March day. Here's a look at your 5-day outlook for the coast. Mostly sunny and 68 for your Wednesday. Partial sunshine on tap for Thursday with highs near 70. Now Friday late day and into Friday night, we could catch a couple of showers. Quick break in the action Saturday, and then more spotty clouds and showers building in as we wrap up the weekend on Sunday. However, inland, largely dry weather pattern in place over the next several days, seasonable with mostly sunny skies as well, though we will see the arrival of that wet weather with spotty clouds and showers as we look ahead to the day on Sunday. Your 5-day outlook for the mountains, mostly sunny and 61 for your Wednesday. Temperatures climb to the mid-60s on Thursday, and then noticeably cooler as we head into the day on Friday. We'll go from a high of 63, dropping a solid 10 degrees back down into the low 50s. Partly sunny and cool on Saturday, though dry, and again the arrival of those spotty clouds and showers for the mountains as we look ahead to our Sunday. Your 5-day outlook for the desert, mostly sunny and 84 for your Wednesday. Temperatures climb on Thursday. Same deal here, noticeably cooler air on the way for your Friday, though still comfortable with highs in the upper 70s. Sunny and pleasant on Saturday, and more clouds building in the deserts for your Sunday with a daytime high near 80 degrees. Steph Davis, KPBS News.
And this just into our newsroom. Hillary Clinton wins the Democratic presidential primary in Mississippi with 36 delegates at stake. She is assured of picking up at least 21. Before Tuesday's contest, the former Secretary of State held a 196 delegate lead over Bernie Sanders. Democrats living abroad also were submitting ballots by mail in their primary with 13 delegates at stake. Their results will be released later this month.
I'm Hari Srinivasan on the next news hour. The key state of Michigan, one of a handful on the line in the presidential primaries. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
Last month, we told you about new murals coming to Market Creek Plaza in Encanto. They're replacing old murals that showed faces of community leaders. Now the new paintings are up. They depict young people who submitted essays about how they'd like to change their community. 15-year-old Nikayla Jackson is in one of the murals. She's replacing her great-grandmother, Shirley Jr., who had looked down from Market Creek's walls for 13 years. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, voter turnout in California is dismal, but some are looking at the untapped potential of a specific class of voters, refugees. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.